Hello and welcome to another week of the Abuse Cartoons live stream. So we're back again, still doing this from home, still lockdown time. And that's going to continue in Japan until May 31st, they just announced. So nice long spring vacation. And the weather's actually starting to get nice, so people are definitely going to be trying to go out a lot more. And it's Golden Week. So it's the Golden Week holiday right now, which is a combination of 4 different national holidays that happen at the same time. And they basically try to give everybody a week off. And this is the time that a lot of people travel outside of the country, which they're not doing now. But yeah, this is the time, and this is when airline tickets and hotels and everything become ridiculously expensive because of the gouging that's somehow legal here. But I'm still isolating, still sheltering at home, so I don't know how long this is going to go on. I think, yeah, early June, if they don't have, because they are already talking about they're worried about a second wave of health problems, of bad weather in Tokyo. So that's what they're kind of bracing for. So we will see what happens. And I'll let me put up the where's that mouse? The chat, so I can see what's going on here. But I hope everybody is doing well otherwise. But yeah, this my live stream schedule has not gotten any better since the lockdown. And I've heard there's been a lot of people that, or a lot of companies basically, that just have decided that they're going to, say that they can't let people telecommute, and people have to come into the office. So there's still a lot of people traveling, and some schools are still doing things. The university that I work at is not going to be open until June to the public, only employees, and I'm just a contractor. So that's not happening. That's a terrible looking ice cream. Let's try something better than that. But yeah, so that the warm, miserable weather is coming. You can already feel it. It's still, cool and breezy. Probably in the 70s high 70s without humidity now. But 80 is brutal once all that humidity starts coming in. And that's after the rainy season in June. Oh, I didn't even think about that. So the rainy season is in June, and that's when everyone's going to go back to work and their regular lives. So that'll be pretty miserable. The rainy season is just kind of just a couple of weeks of torrential downpour, and it's really so brutal that if you don't learn to get out of the rain, because it's not, people aren't so umbrella obsessed and worried about that, not so worried about walking in the rain. But when you have these torrential downpours that literally just soak you completely through, and they only last about 10 minutes, so you just have to learn to just get out of the rain as soon as you can. You'll see foreigners here walking in the rain, and they haven't learned that this is a different kind of rain. It's a much heavier, much more miserable type. Let me see if I can Getting really shaky results here. There we go. Something like this. But yeah, it's been interesting. And you can tell kids are starting to get pretty restless too. The parks are crammed with kids, and there's just groups of kids like just walking around. So they're not staying home, I think, because they're driving their parents crazy. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. So some ice cream. Hey, K5. Ooh, coming through Twitch, I see. I hope I'm live. Yeah, it looks like I'm live on YouTube. But, oh yeah, very sick of being at home. And the lockdown was just extended until May 31st, last day of May. So, yeah, it's getting pretty exhausting. So, yeah, my daughter's home for another month, which she seems to be enjoying. I mean, she's been living on Fortnite during the day because all of her friends are... It's nice they enabled voice chat even on the Nintendo Switch. So she just gets on with her friends and they just chat and screw around on Fortnite. Oh, I do that. But, so that's nice. That's great that there's so many things like that for kids to connect. That game, I don't know. It's a very odd third-person shooter. I guess it's it's an arena, battle royale kind of arena fighter. But yeah, that's a really funny game because there's so many kids that just want to screw around, just want to build stuff, and it's not very competitive. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool. Well, thanks for finding me through Twitch. I was worried if my how my Twitch setup was doing because I'm just multi-streaming, so I go out of software onto both Twitch and YouTube, and now they changed YouTube's back-end studio thing, so I don't see or I can't monitor the live stream, so I just can watch it. I can watch it like look at it on my phone, but other than that, it's there's no monitor area anymore, at least that I can find. It might be somewhere that I just haven't seen yet. But yeah, Twitch, it's a little bit easier to see what's going on online. I don't know why. Well, I'm sure they just changed things for their reasons. But yeah, YouTube changes don't seem to make a lot of sense. Alright, so I'm just drawing ice cream. Ugh. But yeah, so hope you're doing well and hope things are safe. Been kind of sporadically in touch with family, so everyone seems to be okay family-wise in the US, but you never know. Hope things continue to be okay. Alright. There we go. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. I like Twitch for downloading live streams. I think they if you download something from YouTube, it's crushed down to like 720p, and yeah, it's over compressed and pretty miserable. But the Twitch version is much nicer. So if you highlight like an entire stream, and then you can have that archived and then download it, and then edit it. So a lot of the times when I do like hobby stuff, I'll end up downloading it from Twitch and then editing it in Premiere and putting titles and editing the boring parts or whatever out, and then reposting it on YouTube. But they don't. Twitch stopped letting you upload videos. For a while they were letting you upload, and that was nice, but not anymore. So there's no more uploading on Twitch. I guess they want things to be only their live stream content. And it's got to be hard enough to monitor live streams without worrying about what people are going to upload. All right. Nice. Yeah, I was surprised that there are so many people doing not gaming things on Twitch. That's been going on for a while, and I didn't even realize it. But yeah, then there's just a lot of stuff. Oh, what was that? Somebody posted it. It was probably Vice or somebody did a little report about women that were Twitch streamers that decided to start OnlyFans pages. Oh, hey. Oh, yeah, actually, I played, because May the 4th was, and I guess it's, Return of the 5th or whatever today. But I played in a Star Wars RPG last night, pretty long, until about 3 a.m. For the Star Wars holiday. So we had a little. It was the Edge of the Empire, so it's all like rogues and bounty hunters and things. It wasn't. It wasn't all. So we weren't all Force users or rebels or anything. It was kind of the scum and villainy version. But I guess the expansion that we were using, or the extra book we were using, was the exploration book. So more about going into wild space and uncharted. So I was playing a Rhodian, so like Greedo looking, a big game hunter. So I just have a lot of firearms training and alien species knowledge, which came in not handy at all because we were stuck on a ship for most of the session. But so we did a little Star Wars, and it's funny. I guess the people that play Star Wars RPGs, if they start a campaign, they'll do. There's a website that lets you do a title crawl for Star Wars, Star Wars style title crawl. So you just enter text in, and then it'll play the Star Wars theme and just scroll the text. So for the beginning of the campaign, a lot of GMs will write their own crawl to kind of update you on the setting. And I guess we're playing in a whatever that latest weird CG looking cartoon that I think is already canceled, that came out, that kids show. I think we're playing in that era, so just after Return of the Jedi. But it was okay. I didn't do a heck of a lot because we weren't in the wilds, or we weren't foraging or hunting, or so I was just manning the turret on our ship. That was basically all I did. And of course it ended up in a miserable. The end of the session ended up miserable, so we will probably be killed by lightsaber next time, because there's some sort of Jedi something hacking at our airlock while we've landed in a docking bay, but there's no atmosphere, so they vented the docking bay, so there's no atmosphere, and someone's using a lightsaber to pry open our airlock, and that's where it ended. But yeah, I was always from a little kid. I mean, it was hard not to be. That's the funny thing when they talk about Star Wars fans. There weren't Star Wars fans when I was a kid. Everybody just liked Star Wars. It was kind of like, I don't know why people have decided to claim certain things and certain fandoms and things, because everybody liked Ghostbusters, everybody liked Star Wars, everybody liked Indiana Jones and Jaws and everything. It wasn't like, oh, this is my movie, this is the character that I identify with. And now people are very territorial and very weird about that stuff. And that was a little difficult, a little hard about the session. There's some pretty hard Star Wars nerds and more recent, so they're up on the more recent stuff. They're still reading they're reading the newer books, the things that are still canon and things in the new Star Wars and like Disney Star Wars, and that is just not interesting at all, because Disney, I think all of their publishing is real like young adult focused, so all the books there's not much of an edge to the books, and they're pretty, I don't know, it's some pretty weak stuff. I haven't read anything. I haven't read a Star Wars book since the Thrawn series in the early 90s or late 80s, whenever that was. But I can't get into the expanded universe. Even the comics are kind of annoying. But these guys, were all up on that. So that got a little disruptive, but it was okay. Just went very late. But yeah, so that was the only my only Star Wars for a while. And that was it was fine that the very last movie was weird. It was a real weird rush. Like it's funny because if you compare, and it's not even as many movies, but if you compare like the Marvel Endgame to that last Star Wars movie, they both are kind of wrapping up something. Ah, yeah. Star Wars everything. Yeah. Hey, Sedona. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know when. I mean, I guess that really dates me. That really makes me old. But I was alive before fandoms, where it was just, people didn't obsess about stuff. And what was, there was something I read about that. About the more recent like weird obsession with being fans of things and having to identify with pop culture. Yeah, that's looking pretty dildo-esque. I guess I'm not going to draw candlesticks. But it's a weird thing. It's like people have this emptiness that they need to fill with a brand. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so, and that's even a pretty recent thing too, that May the 4th be with you, the lisping Star Wars holiday. But I always loved those original movies, and they haven't done anything with it since. And there was just that really depressing report that once Disney had Star Wars, they're like, well, now we have Star Wars, we're doing a Disney park, Star Wars Land, and originally it was going to be Tatooine, and it was going to be all the old, the original trilogy, all the old kind of nostalgic stuff, and then somebody decided, wait, we're not going to build this land for nostalgic 50-year-olds. We want to build something with our new properties, and their new properties are garbage, or what they're doing with it now is just garbage, and it's a shame that they didn't take advantage, because it's not like they couldn't do a new and an old side of the park or whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the thing. Or religion. It almost seems more like a religion, like the fandoms seem almost religiously fanatic. But you're right too. It's like sports teams. It's like your team kind of thing. Yeah, and I think definitely the internet kind of nurtures that culture, because I still remember and it probably still is, but the viciousness of like PlayStation versus Xbox, fans on any game forums or whatever. And I guess they had that too, Marvel and DC, when they were both making movies. Comparing and saying there's a prejudice or whatever. But yeah, it's just weird. People are really into territorial, and I noticed it's a little bit too. It was a little gatekeepy. The session felt a little bit like, meaning this is my game and this is how I run it, kind of thing. It felt a little like that, which is not very fun. That's the thing that's always been weird about any of that tabletop role-playing stuff, especially because when it first came out in the 70s, the rules were so incomprehensible to most people, because nobody's played a game like that before. So the people that kind of figured it out or came up with their own way to play those games pretended like they owned it then, or had this weird ownership, and they were gatekeepers that basically tried to keep other people out. Because I remember being very discouraged at the local hobby shop wanting to they had a room in the back of the store with a huge table, and that always looked so amazing when I was a little kid as a place to play, but nobody was allowed back there except an elite few. And they were all a bunch of weirdos anyhow. But it was that's one of those hobbies that really has that problem. But oh wow, I want a porn company. Yeah, I don't know. Porn is in like really bad shape right now, so I don't know. I mean, they may own like somebody that they may have bought something that produces like something softcore or something. But yeah, that's funny. I wouldn't be surprised though. But yeah, because when I was in Los Angeles, I was kind of porn adjacent, living in the valley, and yeah, that was the golden age. That was the 90s when things were, there were like actually mainstream porn stars and things, and now it's just a mess because of all those like weird Eastern European companies that started all the porn, what are those called, the tube sites, the kind of YouTube style porn sites. So now it's all free because people can upload whatever, and so they can't make any money. And so that whole industry is just trash. So they basically killed themselves. And what's funny is then those same companies that set up those tube sites then came back and started buying the failing companies, the failing American companies, but they're not worth anything. Hey Joe, how's it going? So they trashed an industry to kind of take it over, but it's dead. I mean, it's not coming back. Once you start giving stuff away for free, people aren't going to suddenly decide that they want to pay you again. But yeah, it's funny, that whole situation. I wouldn't be surprised. That'd be interesting if because they've got weird, varied properties now. ESPN and ABC and stuff. So they've got a lot of weird stuff. I'm trying to do something like that. Melted Kendall. But yeah, that wouldn't Wouldn't it be surprising? And it's not also not surprising that they are powerful enough to not let anybody write about that. Yeah, because I think a lot of porn stuff now is probably hidden under, kind of shell companies and stuff, because all the like hotel, video on demand and stuff, I'm sure is owned by bigger, possibly legitimate companies like Disney. That'd be pretty funny. Yes, it's right. That's right. It's Star Wars Day. May 4th. Yeah. So I was talking about before we did a session of Edge of the Empire, so the Star Wars RPG. And the weird thing about it is it doesn't use normal dice. It uses dice that have these weird symbols on it. And the other strange thing is we weren't, of course, playing in person. We're just playing over Discord. And so you have these bots that roll dice. And so you just have to put in the color or the size of the die that you're rolling. And I got really lucky. For some reason, I rolled really well. So that was nice. I didn't roll very much, but when I did, it was okay. So that kept me a little more motivated to keep playing. But yeah, we played until about 3 and didn't get very far. Things moved kind of slow because there were 2 new players. I was one of them, and we had to get introduced into the group. So you have to kind of come up with a point in the story where it would make sense that you kind of showed up. And that's kind of what we did. But yes, but it's just weird. And there's a lot of cut out, like the audio cuts out and stuff. But yeah, and we couldn't decide because there was we ran into a Star Destroyer and TIE Fighters, but this is post Return of the Jedi. Like the period that we're playing in is right after the fall or the death of the Emperor and Darth Vader. So we we didn't even know what to call it, which is a little odd. I guess we should have they should have established that a little bit more. But I guess for a while, until the newer stuff started to happen in that like 30-year break, there were like little remnants of the Empire still around. But yeah, it was hard to get a good sense of what exactly was going on. But we were playing the kind of the outer rim, the kind of wild space section, so it didn't have to be anything very established or anything from any movie canon. It could all be made up. Yeah, you missed the Star Wars porn in space discussion. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's really weird what that Disney's become as large as it has, because for a while it was not doing well. Like after when they started failing again with their movies, like after they started releasing some of those adventure movies, Treasure Planet and the Atlantis one and stuff. Once they started doing that, they started to get into financial trouble again, and then they even closed their character animation, the drawn animation studio. So that was weird. That's when I was in school in Los Angeles, and they closed. It had been closed, and then I think they no, I guess it closed. Yeah, it closed like right after I graduated. And then they learned how to do CG, and then they bought Pixar, and then so they were having like, or they're doing that partnership with Pixar, but then they learned how to do the 3D animation. And that was really bizarre. So there was there hasn't been any drawn animation from Disney for a long time. It's all that, Frozen looking stuff. It all looks like, what's his name? They just took the character designs of, on stream, I can never think of anybody's name. Bill Keane. Bill Keane? Though not the cartoonist, not the Family Circus guy, but his like son or whoever that is, Keane, the animator. So all the characters kind of look like his characters, all that 90s kind of stuff, like Little Mermaid kind of. But now they're 3D, and he retired, and you can just tell that his nobody knows how to draw like him anymore, or character design like him anymore. So things are looking a little different. But yeah, that's an odd company. And yeah, they've been getting killed with their having their parks closed and everything. Oh, I didn't see that yet. I gotta watch the. That's right. They went back and did the end of Clone Wars. Yeah, I gotta check that out. Hey, Burnt Tea. Some Hyphonics love. Yeah, I gotta watch that. I kind of sporadically watched, and they're all on the Disney thing here, the Disney, whatever it's called here, Plus. I think it's not called Plus. That's in the U.S. It's called Disney Theater or something, or Deluxe, Disney Deluxe. So I've got to catch up. The beginning of Clone Wars, though, the cartoon. Yeah. Oh, tea lights. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, Frozen was weird, and that's the sequel is even more weird. We just recently watched that, and it's even more bizarre. Because my daughter, she was little tiny, when that first one came out, and so she was, of course, obsessed with it. And it's weird. It's got a weird kind of vibe. There's a weird LGBTQ kind of vibe going on, like underneath the surface. And I don't know, it's odd because it's really heavy, like the heavy message of like sister love, and like, men are incompetent and you can't trust them. They're either evil or stupid. So it's got a weird vibe to it. So I don't know if you really missed anything, but it's very new for Disney. And I think that song, like, that was crazy. The one time there was like a school show, like it wasn't Christmas, it wasn't like end of the year kind of show, but kids were performing for the parents, and we went into the little theater that they have, because the school where my daughter's at is like, it's basically K through 12, so they share like a little auditorium. And while we were waiting, they played that little theme song from the first Frozen movie, in Japanese, of course, but every little kid knew the words to that, and they all sang really loud. So it was just like a little choir of kids singing Disney songs in Japanese. No way. That's right, because they own Simpsons now. Jeez. Well, anything's got to be better than that first Simpsons movie. That's crazy. No. Yeah, I didn't see anything. That's the first. Yeah, the first I've read you ask that. But that's crazy. And why Maggie? I mean, it's going to be like a whole, unless they age her up really fast, it's just going to be a whole movie of like her pacifier noises. That's crazy. Yeah, Simpsons is weird. I watched a really great kind of survey of what happened to the Simpsons, and kind of the zombie Simpsons that we have now, where it's just like, it's literally fans of the original airing, that when Simpsons was originally on the air, the kids that grew up with that are now making it, and there's just not a lot of life left in it. It's very odd. But it just keeps going and keeps going, because it keeps, it makes enough money that they can't stop. But maybe Disney will. That's going to be sad, because the people that are going to kill zombie Simpsons is going to be Disney. And that's a good thing, though. Those voice actors, wow, they have been paid a lot of money forever for voiceover work, which is, I'm sure it's exhausting in its own way, but it's nothing time wise and everything. It's nothing like real actual acting, actually being on a set in costume and makeup and everything. Wow, Maggie Simpson movie. I can't imagine what that's going to be about. Barney. Oh no. Yeah, spider pig. That's right. uh yeah, Barney. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Barney's been around for a while. That's the nice thing is my daughter being here, my second daughter, younger daughter, missed out on a lot. And actually, my older daughter wasn't. She missed Barney. She was Bear in the Big Blue House and Blue's Clues, mostly because Nickelodeon. She was like a huge like Nick Jr. baby. So a lot of and that's funny. Like Nick Jr. kind of took it away from PBS. It used to be like Sesame Street and all that. And since she grew up in Los Angeles, we always had cable and. Yeah, it was always Nick Jr. She didn't know much of the... I'm not surprised here. My daughter in Japan watched a lot of Japanese PBS called NHK. She watched a lot of that, but recently she saw some of the characters and things and didn't remember any of them. So that's how like weird and useless that like young kids entertainment is, because before 5 years old, kids, nothing is going to like stick real heavy with kids. They may have like that seems kind of familiar, but they're not going to really have big memories of it. And yeah, anything she watched before 5, she doesn't remember at all. That was very funny. All right. Wow. So ice cream and candles, I guess, is this week's theme. All right. Sorry. Yeah, it seems like the camera's working a little better. I think I said that and it just went off. If you there we go. Yeah, if I don't point it right at the sensor is not picking up, or whatever is reading on the lens doesn't pick up the background of the window so brightly, it doesn't put me in silhouette. So if I can angle it properly, I'm not all shadow. Oh yeah. NHK it's kind of it is basically PBS, but it's huge. They have like four channels. I think there's kind of like BBC. There's like NHK like 1, 2, 3. They don't call it that though. They have different names. And then there's like an educational one, and the educational one is all English learning and history, and then kids stuff for Japanese. Yeah, but NHK is like it's the similar scam I think they have in England, where you have to buy if you own a TV, you have to pay a license for BBC. So people will go door to door here and ask you to pay your NHK money, and it's pretty expensive. It's like $2,000 or $3,000. It's like $20-$30, maybe 20 some dollars a month for something you get for free, whether you pay, it exists whether you pay for it or not. And the funny thing is, they had a scandal maybe about 10 years ago where one of the executives was just like blowing money at a casino. Like he was using those public, what are basically supposed to be public funds, because I think they're a nonprofit. And he got caught like embezzling. So then people refused to pay. So I'm not quite sure what the state of NHK is, but they were the first to do like 4K broadcasting in Japan, especially like the sumo wrestling, and like a lot of the Japanese sports are NHK only, and anything that's kind of Japanese culture. But yeah, they're the big they're basically like BBC, I guess would be the better equivalent. Not quite PBS. PBS is more it's more fundraising. I think they have government funding, but they do a lot more fundraising, and NHK is government funded, plus you gotta pay. Like they extort money for a license from you. But they do a lot with that money. Like they develop a lot of technology and things for television that wouldn't be done in Japan otherwise. But I don't know if it's worth $20 a month. But yeah, their kids stuff is pretty good. kind of on the level of the kind of children's television workshop and stuff. But they own a lot of characters. They have a lot of original characters, and they used to, like I guess in the early days, they used to just syndicate. They used to just play Sesame Street and a lot of Western kids stuff. Sorry, keep hitting that microphone. But yeah. But now they do a lot of original stuff, and even some anime. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, is it getting? Yeah, it's getting. Cool. Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot of funny things that Japan copies about England. You know, their love of bureaucracy and their, BBC television model. They copied a lot of things from England. So that's the funny thing. Anything that's different, that's not kind of American style here, is because of, British influence. And also English. That's the weird thing about English here, is, of course, Japanese people think, well, the English, we should go by English, British English rules, and British English should be the standard. So when they started in the 70s or whenever, when they started working on the English curriculums, they worked strictly from British English textbooks and things. And there's some really odd differences. And now that American English is so dominant, just because of, kind of globalization and the power of the kind of the soft empire of America, where they have everybody speaking American English on the TV shows that you watch from abroad, they and Hollywood too. It's really confusing, because a lot of kids are taught, if they have old curriculums, they're taught odd things so it sounds very strange when they're speaking. And then of course you'll have Japanese teachers either speaking American accent, like North American accented English, or British or Australian more accented English, and it becomes very confusing for the kids about how do you pronounce anything. Yes. Oh, what's up? So, you've been touched to light. Oh, I'm not sure what you're asking, Joe. Yeah, so I'm at home right now. Still stuck at home. But yeah, I'm still waiting on the hot end. I'm not sure if it got lost, because it was supposed to be here at the latest by May 1st. You know how they have that? It should at the latest date, and it's May 5th here. So I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to it may just be the everything's getting delayed delivery wise. So yeah, I don't know what happened, because it should be a pretty small package. But yeah, I haven't done much of anything with, and this would have been a great opportunity to, but with 3D printing, because of the my old hot end is so incredibly clogged and was leaking, and so I just pulled it off and waited for a replacement, and I hope I can get the new. It's just like the nozzle, kind of the brass end where the melted filament comes out, so I have to replace that, and it's not here yet. But yeah, so a little Star Wars yesterday. And it's an ongoing campaign, so I'm gonna see how long I can hang in there with it. I think we're fucked, though. It sounds like the way that Star Wars game ended. I think we're dead. There's no way we're gonna survive the vacuum of space. All right. Oh, yeah, right. I need to print these candles. Right, there we go. Yeah, nice and dark. And yeah, I hope I've got a fan on too, because it's a little warm in here. So hopefully that doesn't. If let me know if that's hitting the mic and you're hearing like a, woof, like rumbly sound on the microphone. So I've tried to get it away from there, but this microphone doesn't have any sort of screen or anything on it, so it'll make noise if air hits it. Okay. Yes. Oh, yeah, we don't have... I have a lot more candles, or had a lot more candles in my house in America, and not so many here. And I wonder if it's because, like, the Japanese houses are all wood construction, so they're very flammable. So you don't want to tempt fate with too many candles. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, candles are more of a religious thing here. I mean, there are like the scented candles and stuff that people use, like those really big, expensive ones in jars and stuff. But yeah, not as much. And maybe it's just not. That's maybe more of a 70s thing, is having candles everywhere. Wow. Yeah, so. Yeah, and even tea lights. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so mostly in the house, there's incense for like a memorial, like praying for something. There's the traditional incense for prayer, and then there's like little candles, especially more at shrines and things too. There's candles. But yeah, candles aren't super popular in Japan, and it may be the fire hazard part of it. Okay, let's do some horrifying candles. But did you see that article? I guess it was must have been, I don't know if it was in Florida or California, but the guy that was camping out on some artificial island in one of the Disney parks, and said it was so beautiful, and yeah, but he ended up getting arrested. But I can't imagine. I think behind the scenes, all of those parks look pretty disgusting. Like the pretty industrial, and the parts you don't see, I'm sure, are kind of a mess. They've got to have a lot of like discarded old. Because I know some of the defunct like stuff that they. Oh, nice. Yeah, that was so strange. I didn't get a lot of details. I just saw a couple of headlines, but a guy that was talking about he was camping at Disney for safety, and that kind of makes sense because I'm sure their security is pretty low now too with the parks closed. They're not expecting people to try to live in the parks. Yeah. Yeah, it's very odd. That's looking pretty crazy. But I can't even imagine the money that they're losing, per day, and how they're ever gonna come back from that. Yeah, between the movies, the movie theaters being closed, and the parks. Because it's not like they can catch up. The parks only hold so many people, and so all they can do is kind of go back to their high normal schedule. So unless they insanely raise the price, and that's what they might do, is like when they first come back, they could just do a very expensive, exclusive. You pay us $1,000, you can be the first person back in the park. That'd be the only way to recoup some of those losses, except for the federal government, of course. Oh yeah. No, definitely. Well, there's no the A word. What's the A word? The A word. Yeah. What? So. Oh, cool. Thanks. Drippy candles. Yeah. So the law there. So there. It's kind of national emergency declared, and a suggested lockdown. But like I was saying, the Japanese constitution, they can't heavy-handedly enforce anything. So they don't even, they won't write tickets. Police won't do anything. Sorry. So if you just go to work normally and just do everything normally, go to restaurants and everything, that's completely fine, because there's no way to reinforce it. They just recommend it. But social pressure. Okay. I see what you're saying, Joe. The social pressure, though, the cultural kind of social pressure, like Japan isn't unified racially, because Japanese people are actually pretty mixed. They've got a lot of miscellaneous Asian and kind of Western blood, so it's not like they're calling themselves racially pure. But the culture of Japan is so heavy-handed that, you are kind of, you can be very easily socially outcast, just like ignored or kind of punished socially for not doing the right thing. So wearing masks and things like that is not enforced by police or cameras or anything, but people will really treat you badly or be very cold and be very rude if you're not kind of following the rules that everybody follows. So it's kind of go along, get along kind of thinking. So they can't legally reinforce anything. But it's but the social pressure is really heavy. So there'll be a lot of criticism and a lot of it's weird. It's just kind of how things are reinforced in Japan. Like, things are tolerated. If you're going to break the rules and be ridiculous, you'll be tolerated, but you just kind of, like a splinter in your finger, just kind of be slowly pushed out of society. But as far as the bombings, the atomic bomb in Japan, it is still really sensitive, and they still have like the memorial of each bomb is commemorated, I don't say celebrated, because commemorated in August every year, and they usually play like the older movies or the Graveyard of the Fireflies. I think that was the Ghibli studio, kind of the two kids kind of wandering through the hellscape of I think that was Hiroshima. I'm not sure, but it's very sensitive still, because that was the worst thing that's really ever happened as far as like war-based anything, and it really pushed Japan to be very peace-based. Like, Japanese people are, I think that's why it's hard to get people excited about, let's compete militarily with China or Korea, let's do something beyond national defense, because there's such a huge presence of American military here that they don't feel unprotected, and they are not raised. I mean, there's kind of like war nerds, like military nerds, I guess I should say. People that were the kids that have never been in the military, but like, have an insane airsoft gun collection and like like to buy like military gear and fatigues and things. But as far as the it's the kind of first, I guess, they really, of course, see themselves as the victim in the bombing. So it's all about, what happened to Japan, and they don't talk about why. Like, they don't talk about what possibly could have led up. Why would somebody do this to your country? They don't talk about that. They just talk about the war got to this point, and then they did this, and it was horrible. And it's the most horrible thing. And so they have the piece, the museum in Hiroshima has the dome that survived. So there was a domed building. I don't know if it was a government building or what, but it's completely just the metal structure, basically, of this building. And they preserved that as a memorial of like what was left. But basically there was nothing but this building in that area. So they preserved that and made a kind of peace museum. But the museum itself is just, heart-wrenching. I know I haven't visited Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Hiroshima. I'm saying the very American Hiroshima, Hiroshima. I haven't visited either place, and when I first came here, my wife did say, before we were married and just kind of visiting, that it's important to go, but still there are older people there, especially, that don't like foreigners there. They don't like to see foreigners there, even though they're probably coming to, to commiserate or kind of, pay homage. But so they have that museum, but that museum is like, it's like 100 times worse. I mean, I don't know, it's relative, but to me, I haven't been to either. I'm saying that, but not having been to either, it seems to be even worse than the Holocaust Museum, because the Holocaust Museum is it's just like specific cruelty. It's just like the worst torture prison ever. And the museum for the atomic bomb, the Peace Museum about the atomic bomb, is just these horrifying, like you can't even imagine what you're looking at, like photos and like, because they have the pieces of wall and thing that just have the shadows, like the shadow of the person is the only thing that's left. The person is vaporized, but their shadow is like kind of frozen on the wall, and all these like melted bicycles and things that you can't even imagine, like the level of heat and things that people were exposed to. And then all of the victims of the kind of periphery of that, all of the documentation of, just people's flesh was just like falling off of them. And it's just horrifying. There's a lot of documentation of that. And so the Peace Museum in Hiroshima is really, really difficult to make it through. And it's kind of one of those required school trips, like many of the I guess like junior high schools, that's a very common trip. But there's not it's a lot of victim. It's feeling like a victim, but not talking about it in context, and not talking about the fact that if Germany or Japan would have come up with that technology, they would have used it first, because everyone was rushing to split the atom at that time, and it very easily could have been Germany first. And if America didn't have German scientists, if the Nazis wouldn't have chased away some of their best, Jewish German scientists, they would have probably come up with that technology first. But it's a weird, it's a very weird thing, because I think this is probably similar in Germany too. It's just kind of they delete that piece of history. You just don't talk about it. They don't teach it. It's just like, it's shameful, and we don't talk about it. So Japan doesn't talk about the kind of colonization or taking over, not colonization, but occupying. I guess they consider them colonies, but they were just occupying Korea and Manchuria. They don't talk about that, and they don't talk about kind of what led up to the war and that whole atmosphere. But being here kind of, I can see how it could have happened, and how people could have innocently supported, their government being that aggressive, because, they support, like, if you can see how they are proud of their national sports teams, or proud of, Nobel Prize winners, or anybody kind of, or a Japanese player playing Major League Baseball, how proud they are of that. I could see that same kind of, support and, same sort of support become translated into like wartime thinking. Wow. Oh wow. Yeah. My mother's father was Pacific Theater. He was just a radio operator, but yeah, he never talked about it too. He just had really crazy. Just said bad things happened and didn't tell stories. My other grandfather, that was in Europe, that was mostly in Italy, he became a police officer, and so he talked about everything. Like he documented a lot of things. So he had this amazing photo album of all of this stuff that happened, and he would talk very readily, because he would also talk about like things that happened to him on the job. So he that's very interesting. So two very different reactions to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know, as far as the bombing, it must have been better to just be immediately dissolved, because slowly dying from radiation poisoning has to be really horrible. And that was also the shame and embarrassment that I think surrounded the Fukushima incident. So they had the the nuclear power plant meltdown, and that's going to be people dying of the same sorts of things that they died of during the war. So that was frustrating, embarrassing, and I think they even bought the technology from those nuclear plants from America. So yeah, very complicated feelings about that for Japanese people. And I think the reason that it was so covered up is because it was very embarrassing and very just reminded them of too many uncomfortable things. Yeah, historically. But yeah, that's it's an odd thing, and you don't want to. It's not something that people really want to debate, and Japanese people don't debate things so much. That's a big difference between kind of Japan and Europe. There's just kind of an understood truth, or this way that everybody thinks here, and you don't want to upset people by challenging that. And even like university students and things. I mean, artists and maybe creative people in Japan are a little bit more critical and a little more, self-reflective about things. But the average person here is not, and you're just not taught to do that. So you don't challenge, what's been told to you about history or anything. And you just kind of go along with, okay, that must be how it happened. And so that especially with war subjects, that is not it's not discussed and it's not challenged. So whatever the kind of common understanding, or just kind of ignoring it, becomes very common. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, that damage from the war. Because I've been watching a lot of World War One stuff recently. Oh, and I got to see 1917, but I think I was complaining about not finding that last time, so I found it, and it was one of the Japanese streaming services. So maybe they bought the rights away from Japanese Amazon or something. But it wasn't as bad. 1917 didn't have some of the really gruesome stuff like Thin Red Line. That's World War II, of course. But Thin Red Line had some pretty gross stuff. But they still had like little ponds full of bodies and like people just embedded, like just had been so covered. There's just like faces and parts of people sticking out of sides of trenches and things. But that was that was a really good movie. Very it captured the tone very well, and not didn't punish you. Like, it wasn't such a really painful thing to go through. It was just very surprising. Like, it kept you it just kept you guessing what was going to happen, because they killed people you didn't expect them to kill, and things felt as pointless and difficult and frustrating as the war must have felt, because of that time, the limited communications and everything, like radio communications, telephone communications. You could just cut those lines, so that was it. Or you'd send pigeons. They literally sent pigeons, carrier pigeons. So but just that the atrocities and the not atrocities, but just the things that happened during the war. So I've been watching a lot of that. I'm sorry, I forgot what my rambling point was, but so some pretty amazing stuff. And I think especially World War One, like the going over the top, like the charges of World War One were crazy. Just coming out of a trench and just not knowing exactly where all the machine guns are positioned, and just walking into this, like, being mowed down by machine gun fire is just insane. And you just had a bolt action rifle. That's just insane. That, like, suddenly the technology jumps so much that people are just facing, so that real meat grinder idea of war and what soldiers had to be subjected to. It's crazy. Yeah. I can understand. Yeah. Well, there was a really good what was that? What was that? I think it was I forget which. It was some history podcast that was talking about post World War II, so post dropping the atomic bomb on Japan, and America was the only country that had that technology. So they were trying to decide, what do we do with this? Like, we have the most powerful weapon, most devastating weapon that's ever been invented. How do we use this? Because immediately they knew they were opposed with Russia, and there were going to be problems with Russia in the future. So was it Eisenhower? I'm going to totally fuck up on who the president was. Whoever the president was after the death of FDR. So whoever the president was, they there was actual discussion that we should preemptively bomb a major city in Russia to keep them under control and to show who's in charge. And the generals at that time completely opposed the president on that, saying, that's insane, that's inhuman. We already used this weapon and we saw the results of it. We had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, literally, when they dropped the atomic bombs, they thought 10,000 years that land was going to be radioactive and unusable. And of course, now they're modern, developed cities, but they had no idea what the consequence was going to be. Because basically the technology, even though they split the atom, the technology was so... Truman, yes, thank you. Sorry, yes. Right, Harry S. Truman, thank you. So bad about names historically. But the president was talking about... So they were in a weird position where, America could become this dominant, kind of tyrant of the world because they had this technology that nobody else had. And they could use it, and they could also scale it down for battlefield use. But the problem was, what if, because they still didn't understand how effective it was and what the technology was like, what if they made these tiny atomic bombs and used them on the battlefield, and they were very ineffective and showed that this technology did not didn't put America in control, didn't give them battlefield domination or didn't give them military supremacy, then things would be worse. Then America would look weak and there'd be more challenges to their power. But the interesting thing that when they said, okay, we need to bomb Russia, when Truman had said that, we need to do this to keep things under control, because obviously Russia is going to be a competitor, an opponent of ours, and it's going to, fight us in every possible way. The generals at the highest level refused. They said, we refuse to do this. We will not give these orders, and, threatened them with, resignation or whatever was necessary to stop that from happening. So America was so close to doing something that stupid that would have, who knows what America would be like now if they had tried that and turned basically the whole world against them. And then basically slowly all of that technology was leaked. So everybody, the nuclear secrets got out. So that just... but it created that uncomfortable Cold War that we had to, live through in the, until 89, until the fall of the Soviet Union, where there was just these huge nuclear stockpiles of weapons just pointed at each other. Well, not stockpiles, but the actual missiles just pointed at each other, and just like the assured mutual destruction thing of my childhood just existed that whole time. But still... I guess in military terms, they thought of that as better, because that would actually prevent war, and there were smaller, the conflicts that happened were a much smaller scale than they would have been. There was not another world war. But that's crazy, and it's so amazing that America was actually thinking that way. So what do we do with this atomic bomb that we have? That's amazing that there was actual thought about basically becoming a tyrant, basically becoming a tyrant superpower that was just trying to show that it was that it had control of everything. So that's amazing, and it's also says a lot about the American military that they objected to that, because they always, in movies and things, the generals are always, let's nuke them. That's always the first thing, the alien invasion or whatever. Let's use nuclear weapons. And actually, at the time of the earliest atomic bombs, they resisted, using that kind of unknown, devastating technology. But, then we had Korean War and Vietnam and all that wonderful stuff. But yeah, so it's but that was really amazing. I didn't know about that piece of history and how close America was plotting their next move after the war to eliminate all enemies. And I guess being in that weird fervor of nationalism and everything, of course it's hard for them to kind of snap out of it. It's like, okay, let's start making friends and not making the whole world your enemy. But that was surprisingly close. Okay. Oh, these last two are down here. So I'm drawing really small again. Yeah, so something like that. I don't think Japan is not taught, or they even have any understanding about what America was thinking during that time or anything. It's just, whoa, that got out of hand. Let's not. And I think that probably the same thing for German people with like the firebombing, of German cities. It's just like that was insanely devastating. It wasn't like it's instantly devastating as an atomic bomb, but it was insanely devastating. And how do you rationalize that? How do you understand? Okay, we need to cooperate with the country that did this to us. Just as far as regular people, that has to be very, very hard to, figure out how that how that's supposed to work. But now we all just compete economically. And I really think that was the mentality of Japan after the war. When they rebuilt, it was just like, okay, we're not going to fight anybody anymore, but we're going to try to dominate them, economically as much as possible. And they just pushed really, really hard. All right. Yeah, and that's where the stereotype of that, overworking salaryman came from, because the 60s you had no choice, because it was kind of a nationalist thing. You were rebuilding your country, and you were rebuilding it for peaceful reasons. So any kind of economic, kind of industry domination, where you're just economically competing with countries, was considered nonviolent. So they, really went hard. Oh, okay. What? Oh, that's right. Wow, they've changed so many little things in Photoshop, because I'm using an older version. So I think I tried to update, this Photoshop, and it ran even worse. The system, here. Yeah, 19, I don't even know what update that is, but I think it's pretty old. Capitalism. Yeah, well, at least they put their energies into something that only ruined the world. They didn't kill the world. I don't know. Yeah. Well, yeah, Japan did that. They had that weird kind of realization, though, where Japan could have been China, as far as manufacturing. They started realizing they could make things faster and cheaper than anybody. So they did that Chinese thing. So I think in the 60s, a lot of early Japanese electronics were really low quality because they were so cheaply produced, but they were also very cheap. And so they were starting to dominate the market that way, but realizing maybe we don't want to be that. And that's when they started to not compete price-wise, but just make something that would last forever. So those old, original Sony transistor radios and stuff, they all still work now, because they're simply made and use decent quality components, so they would never stop working. So Japan kind of chose that more kind of German style of using their own kind of innovated technology, or their own kind of improved technology, and then build something decent quality, and then kind of left the cheap manufacturing to Taiwan and China and everything. And that's exactly what they did, is they just did the really cheap capitalism, the really cheap manufacturer, and they could always undercut everybody and make something cheaper than anybody. And so I respect that about Japan, seeing that and seeing that they don't want to pollute their country and become this garbage. Just churning out this garbage for other countries. And it also, unless you saved all that money like China did, you are always considered a kind of second class. Your economy is always considered kind of second class. But yeah, it's really strange how that and there was a strange thing too. As I watched someone made a video about the war crimes trials in Japan, and they were done kind of Nuremberg style, and I can't remember the city where they happened, but when they put on trial all of the generals and politicians and everybody that was involved in the war, so many people, it was really fucked up, because there were some people like really directly, and I think they just kind of scapegoated. So there's maybe half a dozen people or 7 people or so that were just hung immediately. But then everybody else got these prison sentences that they ended up only serving 7 years of. So they got these really long prison sentences, but they were all released. And so what would that have been? 7 years after would probably be, the late 50s. They were all released in the late 50s because of health concerns, because they were all older people and all health concerns. And they all, ended up dying in the 90s. So they lived another 20 years. So there wasn't health concerns. But they ended up releasing so many people that were in prison for war crimes. And those people went right into government, right into, corporate Japan, right into manufacturing and company lives. So they ended up running the country, and the government of Japan, right away, ran straight back into, and so because they probably still had all their connections, and they were just having to be punished in front of the world for the crimes of Japan, but weren't really punished. There were only a very few people that were actually executed. So that's very strange, as they went, from wartime criminal to peacetime criminals, basically. Yeah, and I think that's also why Japan was so aggressive economically. Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they really and there is something. There's a kind of an odd knack that Japan has for looking at something, admiring something, a design or a foreign technology, but saying, but wait, what if we do this? And making little changes to it that perfect it. And I think it's because that's very embedded in Japanese culture, because they adopted so much Chinese and Korean culture and then made it Japanese. They just simplified it, or made it this kind of created a simplicity or an elegance to it that the foreign version of it didn't have, and then it became Japanese. So they did that, not only with technology, but, a lot of design and culture, and even the, Chinese writing, the Chinese calligraphy, how kanji is written in Japan is a modified version of it, and they kind of have their style. So, yeah, it's very interesting how they do that. And yeah, that whole rebuilding of Japan was pretty amazing. And also they got a lot of assistance, because basically they have a guaranteed partner now, a guaranteed trade partner in America, because America was responsible for so much of the damage. Okay, I'm trying to do this. Okay, but yeah, that's really crazy. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that is insane. That there's still Nazi, because of what, Operation Paperclip, and basically, I mean, and I watched something about this too, that basically Americans' rationale after World War II is, okay, Nazis are bad, but Nazis hate communists. So I think we'd rather let Nazis emigrate to America than have communist infiltration, because America was so Red Scare and so anti-communist that they chose Nazis over communists back in the late 40s, which is insane. So that's why you have these Nazi war criminals, 90-year-old Nazi war criminals being deported back to Germany after they've had 50 years of life, or probably more than that. Here, they've get deported in their 90s back to Germany to face trial. That's so sad, like trying a 90-year-old for war crimes. Yeah, and we still haven't quite figured out how that works. Because obviously people during times of war, if they're psychotic, that comes out and they do, violently horrible things because they're not accountable, because they have the protection of war and their country and their military to protect them. So they do horrible things, and there's all kinds of that's when I said atrocities. That's what that refers to. Is so wartime atrocities are things that go beyond soldier against soldier, army against army, and so civilian rape and murder and torture, all that kind of things that happen for no military reason, just because nobody can say anything. And it's a really hard actions during wartime don't make any sense in peacetime, so it's really hard to rationalize that. And when they do the kind of war crimes trials and things, it's very difficult because you're thinking about things in very different terms, because everything seems like a war crime during peace. So how do you determine everybody, the winners and the losers, are all committed horrible crimes against humanity? And how do you figure out who was the worst? And basically it's just like the winners. That's an additional way for the winners punishing the losers. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, South America got a lot. Oof. Wow, yeah. Well, that's totally, yeah, I can totally understand that. Sedona, that's really crazy. And it's a funny thing. I mean, America has only, I don't want to go into it, but it's only benefited from not being only white. And but that fear, I don't know where that comes. It's kind of like a weird modified, European nationalism. And because Europe has always been against invasions of different cultures, and so they just brought the Europeans that came, just brought that same kind of prejudice and fearfulness. And so in American terms, it's just crazy. It just doesn't make any sense, because I don't know. It's a very funny thing that Americans can be so strong in reinforcing one kind of culture, because America, legally and whatever, has tried to reinforce English speaking, Christian, Caucasian, but I don't know. It's never really been that. I don't know. It's very funny, and so that has to be very strange. And what makes it so unusual, because everybody in America then is of European descent, of Asian descent, of African descent. There are all these people that come from this other culture. This other culture doesn't care about them at all, and doesn't even see them as part of that culture. But Americans carry that pride of where they come from, and then now are using that as this weird, this weird way to demand things, because they're, I don't know. So the whole, it almost seems like America invented this weird new kind of racism that's just based on competition for resources, competition for access to money, access to job markets, or whatever, certain industries. And I guess at a certain point it was, because in the law they did actually have kind of racially based things early on, because a lot of local governments were worried about being overrun by a certain certain groups of rich immigrants could come in and just buy everything up. So in the law they would put, well, Asians can't own this, and Jewish people can't own this. They actually had those sorts of bizarre things in the law in certain parts of the world, and I think mostly California, all the newer, all the more recently settled stuff. But American racism is weirdly unique, and the fact that people, it's so only in America kind of thinking. I think Britain tries to do it a little bit because of all of their horrible guilt for ruining Africa. But it's very different. It's a weird kind of different style of what they call racism, and what's their guilt and things it's very different. But America is really funny, and it's yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the weird part of, and all of the British colonies had to deal with that. Have to deal with that. That's strange, and it's weird because so Canada, America, and Australia, I guess South Africa too, but that's not British though. But the original peoples of all of those countries, are just like this thing that had to be dealt with. It's like it's very strange, and now the guilt of that and how that is reflected in all of those cultures is very, very different. But that's an interesting thing to study, is how Australia, Canada, and America all dealt so differently with Aboriginal kind of original peoples of the countries that they were settling, because it's very strange, the kind of converting, like the more. I think it happened both in Australia and Canada, and I don't think so much in America, but kidnapping Native, American or Canadian or Australian kids and trying to convert them to, raise them as adopted kids, but raise them Christian, speaking English and everything. It's just crazy to think about. Well, we'll save them, we'll fix them, and then they can live normal lives. So that kind of thinking is strange, and just I don't know, just the idea that we're so dominant that we're going to decide what the correct thing is to do. But at the same time, it's like a bizarre culture clash that can't be reconciled. Just like when what Eastern and Western cultures met, they didn't make a lot of sense to each other. But you had Europeans coming with the idea of making money off the land, taking advantage of this new land for farming and mining and whatever. And the native people having no concept of that, not even know, well, what does that even mean? And so you took those people and just they had to crash into the basically 20th century thinking, or what would become kind of industrialized 20th century thinking. They had to somehow figure out how to compete and deal with people that were already so far ahead of trying to control everything and trying to get as much benefit, financial benefit from what was going on. And because it was all colonies, that's all it was just exploitation. So all of those countries started with just exploitation of resources. And I guess that's why especially America has just been one big resource war ever since. It's just people competing. It's just this never-ending gold rush, and there's always just the new gold. And America just has always been very what is that? A very good place to try to get rich quick. Yeah. I think Australia had a big, and that's really embarrassing for them too. Now, I mean, as murderous as America was, it still feels so sinister and creepy that the kidnappings and the kind of trying to convert people to save them to your culture, instead of just figuring out, okay, how can we share this, or how does this exist? Because we're not going away, you're not going away. But yeah, Americans had different ideas. They just killed their way across the country. Yeah, it's amazing. That's a crazy and also the yeah, what was it that I heard about the it was basically the railroad companies that as they moved west, they would just give, plots of land to, settlers and pioneers and anyone that wanted a new start. Just give them land that they didn't really own, that were just along those train lines that were incredibly dangerous. That they were just going to be facing very, very aggressive attacks from Native Americans, and that's basically but then that would give justification. So they put people out there, let them get massacred because they were invading lands of other tribes that were weren't peaceful, that had warriors and would actually fight against this invasion. And then that was justification to then use the army, to then use force, because the railroad was, this was the most important thing. So that how America did that was very, that's very strange and very shady, in how they, so many people's lives were endangered, just because it was a means to an end. It would get the railroad built, and it would get America settled. It would get America under control by the Americans that had come here, but at a really horrible price. And so those people that were put in a situation they had no idea what they were going into, and basically had to fight for their lives, and a lot of them did not. It was just killed in horrible ways to just to benefit, just to justify the actions of military or company enforcers or whatever that were going to go and try to control the railroad process. Yeah, it's really crazy. And because Europe is so far away from that, I guess there was just no thinking about how you would even. There was no way to deal with that, because that didn't exist in Europe. That was such a thing of the past. Everybody had been killed, 100 times over. Every original culture had been rewritten and fought wars for thousands of years. So there's no idea of that. So basically, I mean, I guess if you think about it, that's America settled and had one civil war, as opposed to Europe's Europe's mess of a history where it was just groups of it was just empires dominating each other over and over and over again. America settled things pretty fast. Yeah, but then at the same time, then it's never going to be completely settled. Wow. Oh yeah, definitely. That has to be insane to be invaded like that, and to not even know, what do you want? What are you doing here? That has to be crazy to have such old cultures and this way of life that's just like, no, you can't have this anymore. Oh, and here, try to deal with European illness as well. We're gonna show you how highly developed our immune systems are, and you're gonna be exposed to everything that we grew in our cities that you have no immunity to. All right. Well, there's candles and ice cream. Okay, I think this works. Yeah, that's good. It's just completely. I still am so amazed by when the first ships they talk about that. I forget that term, like a cultural blindness, like this like hysterical blindness. So when the first ships, European ships, came to the Americas, the original people couldn't see them because they were so bizarre. They were so like something they had never even imagined could exist, that they, without being opposed, they weren't greeted, they weren't attacked when they first settled, because a lot of the people that were looking at these things said, I don't even know what that is. That doesn't even make any sense, that there's this giant wooden ship with these giant sails approaching. So like this weird kind of something so incomprehensible that there's nothing that makes sense. There's nothing you've ever seen before that makes any sense. So you just can't even see it. Like you don't even see that. And it's a really interesting idea, and we haven't had that yet. And there are still things, and yeah, there are things that modern people probably would have that same reaction to, things they couldn't possibly see. Well, it's like just like that footage that they're releasing of the Pentagon footage of UFOs. If you saw something like that, it just doesn't even, the way something was moving, or it just doesn't even make any sense. Like you can't, what is that? What could that possibly be? Is that a thing? Is that a vehicle? Is it a living thing? What is that? Because of the way it moves. So it's a very similar, must have been a very similar kind of response. It just doesn't make any sense. You can't figure out how that possibly is a thing. But yeah, that's that's really those kind of culture clashes. And that's the thing, though, is it never ends. Like just any of the kind of classical, like old, like ancient history is always about, well, there's this peaceful people that then get invaded. It's always like there's people that develop this nice agrarian lifestyle, and they peacefully exist, and they can just grow their own food, and everything is fine, and then they get invaded. It's just always happens. Like you can't, it's never that's never the end of it. And I'm sure there was still ongoing conflicts and wars with like Native American tribes, but I think for the most part they probably had all kind of stuck. There was enough land that they could all kind of stick to their own areas, and there wasn't the idea of conquest for resources or conquest for financial gain. So I think that slowed things down a little bit. But no idea of empires. Okay, well, I gotta figure out what this is gonna do. Oh no! Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sure it's just a word or something hit the filter. Sorry. Yeah, let me. Oh wait, yeah, that's totally gone now. Yeah, I can't. That's really messed up. I don't know where that is now in the new YouTube. Yeah, because that was YouTube, right? Yeah. I don't know where the... Let's see. Oh, wait. Stream... Am I streaming? No. It's asking me to create... Oh, wait. Go away. Manage. No. Okay, so I didn't set up an event. Here we go. Oh, so you have to go into stream... There we go. That's weird. So you have to go into streaming, start a stream, and then, oh, here's the classic. Okay, yeah, here we go. Oh, it says that the, oh, maybe because Nazi, yeah, it caught Nazi. It was held. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Spain was an excellent conqueror. The conquistadors. Yeah, they did well. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't have that up, so I was missing that. There we go. So that makes sense now. Cool. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah. So now I know how to get there. That's such a pain in the ass now, though, too. They have the streaming interface hidden, so if you don't start the stream from inside of YouTube, and I'm just pointing at their what is that, their RTMP or whatever their protocol is for streaming. I'm just pointing the restream at that. So yeah, this is ridiculous. You have triggered YouTube, Joe. Yeah, so what was that? Spain? That's weird. I wonder what because you're Spain, Europe, Gold America's monarchy. That's weird that triggered the filter. Very funny. Sorry about that. I'll try to be a little more watchful. Yeah, you never know. And I'm sure it's just an AI or an algorithm just kind of like, learning these things. They just kind of keep adding things, like creating like a dictionary file or whatever of things that trigger people, so they put it in their sensors. Yeah, that's weird. But at some point, I mean, it's impossible because everybody's sensitive to something. So saying the word cancer or saying the word Trump or something is that's gonna trigger somebody. So you can't possibly filter everything that would trigger people because people just have to be nice to each other. Yeah. Oh, maybe maybe that's, yeah. Yeah. But definitely there's not but I guess it's good if there's it's like a first layer of moderation. If someone's just like, spamming the same message over and over again, I guess it's good if a filter catches that first, so you don't have to, it'll help with the burden of kind of moderating everything. That's a good point, though. Yeah, and Europe is so funny about that. They still have an attitude, about America, but they basically it's just like, what was that stupid? How did you that anti-drug commercial, that PSA that was on in the maybe the 90s? How did you learn about this, or what did you where did you learn to do this, or where did you find out about this? And I learned it from watching you, Dad. The making your parents guilty that their marijuana use has made your kids try marijuana, but but that's exactly America's problem. It's just like we learned everything from Europe because we are the greediest possible Europeans that came to America, or the craziest. Yeah, they're seeking religious freedoms and things that also can give you some difficult ideas. Yeah. And it's funny, there are still, I mean, I think the closest thing that Japan has to like skinheads or nationalists are a hey Hazy, how's it going? Yeah, the Japan does have kind of has a weird nationalist, and it's mostly like weird, from what I've seen, like weird middle-aged guys, but kind of a American nationalist protests that are anti-immigration and want things to be very traditional and whatever. But there's not a huge threat. There's not huge threats to kind of traditional Japanese lifestyle. So that's funny that exists. Well, let's see if I need all of this. I guess so. But yeah, there are still kind of these weird protests, and there are still groups, and supposedly the current prime minister is part of one of these groups that still believes in the Japan was only was at its best when everyone believed the emperor was a god, so they want to go back to the the emperor as deity kind of lifestyle, or kind of a way of ruling, because that was a very effective way to rule Japan, because nobody would go against a god, and then anything God wanted to do was, of course, the correct thing to do. So I think there are still Japanese people that believe that's when it was great. There's no, it wouldn't even make a word, but make the emperor a god again. But they don't have hats for that in Japan. All right. Yeah, I think this works. Yeah, Abe. Yeah, yeah. I've heard. I mean, because he's very pro military, and but there's also been kind of rumors that he's has sympathies to groups that are very conservative and very much about extreme Japanese nationalism and the wonderful way things used to be. Yeah, which is surprising because yeah, and that's the like when we was talking about before, like not teaching what Japan did wrong. I guess it's that history repeating itself. Like if you don't learn from the past, then you're doomed to repeat it. But Japan still does have people that think that that was a golden age, and that's when Japan was its strongest and best. Is at that time when they had that kind of cult of the emperor, and the military was very strong. So they could do anything that they wanted, and yeah. So I guess there hasn't been enough education about what actually happened and what needs to be avoided. I'll fill some of these so I can overlap them a little bit. Yeah, so, and that's scary. I mean, as a foreigner living here, that's very scary because I'll be the first up against the wall when the shooting, when the firing squads begin. Fill some of these. Yeah, that is the one odd thing about living abroad, is knowing that if things get and especially even during this the very beginning of the bad weather situation here, just like they reported in China, people got very afraid of foreigners. I still saw foreigners as like, well, maybe they're bringing this bad thing here. And so I noticed a little bit more space, like people don't want to sit next to you. People don't sit next to you, and things like that in the very beginning of our current health crisis. Japanese people became a little more afraid of foreigners than they were before, a little, more xenophobic. And I heard that happened in China as well, especially with African immigrants. They were like, oh, they must have brought this here. So immediately there was, pretty extreme prejudice. And segregation, like trying to separate foreigners from the other citizens. But that's definitely a creepy thing to feel. There's very busy cartoons now. Is people not wanting to. Do we still have to tolerate these foreigners? We're having this crisis here. Can we get rid of these guys now? Like just normal people in Japan definitely have that feeling. Okay, we've tolerated you long enough. Go away. When it starts to feel, dangerous or more serious. All right. Look at this crowd here. But that's just a weird kind of, I think, lizard brain response to, fear response. Anything different is feels bad when you're starting to be afraid. When you don't understand, what's going on. That happens. Oh yeah. Hazzy knows. Hazzy's all about that. Yeah, so bad weather is a euphemism for for the commie cough, the thing that everybody's dealing with. I'm sure that'll trigger something on YouTube. But I don't know. I don't know how long this. It's funny that things are just remaining shut down, and we have there's no end in sight. Because every time they have a date, they keep moving the date. They keep shifting. I'll start coloring stuff, I guess. Yeah, they keep moving the deadlines, moving the lockdown dates. Yeah, it's really, really strange, and who knows what life is going to look like on the other side of this. I'll do this in color. I think those are it's a little. Yeah, I think I want to go brighter and more yellow. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Abe's a little funny. They got caught in a scandal. Like, is I think a lot of people are learning bad lessons from Trump, but yeah, he got caught in a scandal. This kindergarten, like a private school, like an elite private school kindergarten, and his wife, and kind of like a Clinton style stuff, like weird investments and stuff. They put money in something and were benefiting like tremendously from it, but because it was the wife of the prime minister and they were like making laws, or it was like federal funding or something, they were like funding this school that his wife had some connection to financially, and so very shady stuff. And then then some other distraction, some I forget, like North Korea or whatever, I think was being used to kind of distract people from. Oh, don't worry about that. What about that North Korea? They're pretty scary, aren't they? When there was kind of Abe scandal going on, that was very strange. That just reminded me of things that have happened in the U.S. Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Wow, will you really get harassed by police with no mask? That's that's crazy. I mean, that's really. I mean, I would think. that, isn't that insane? The if people start drinking disinfectants because the president said we should try, but yeah. So is he then accountable for their deaths? Oh, God. Uh, Oops. I was not on the right tool. Yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah, I think he definitely needs to talk less. So those like updates, those daily updates or whatever, and I think they were thinking that was going to be, kind of comforting or reassuring. But when it's Trump and just randomly going on about things, whatever pops into his head. I mean, he just needs to be on a teleprompter and not take questions if he's going to do those updates, because that was just insane. That's a little bright, maybe. Every day a new mysterious thing. All right. Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that. Solid bleach, but he doesn't have a virus now, does he? Yeah, he's not going to die from the bad weather. Then he'll die ahead of time. He'll pre-die. Ugh. Yeah. Okay, what ice cream is this? Oh, actually, yeah, maybe I'll make this one the mint colored. And then some kind of chocolate here. But, yeah. Yeah, I think just like Bush Jr. during 9/11, Trump was like the worst president to have during this, like, where we need to be very serious and have very good, because he keeps bringing up things like ratings and things, like when he's insulting people, he'll talk about, oh, they have bad ratings. I guess when he's insulting the news, it just seems incredibly unhelpful right now. But yeah, just not the most comforting figure to have. And I still don't understand. Well, just like I was saying, Japan hasn't dealt with what they did to bring, the atomic bomb. Like why countries would think it would be necessary to use an atomic bomb on them. I don't think America has really spent much time thinking about what possibly could we have done to deserve, Trump as a president. Like what caused this? How could this have possibly happened? And it's not so easy as, because it looked like when Bush was elected over Clinton's VP, I'm blanking on his name, but that looked like a bit of a stolen election, because that went all the way to the Supreme Court to decide. That was all Florida and hanging chads and all of this. That looked a little bit more like a stolen election, but the Trump victory didn't look as stolen, and it was depending on your feelings on the Electoral College. And so how was that possible, and why did that happen? And so it's not, well, we have to beat him, never Trump. We have to, make sure he's out of office as fast as possible. We'll impeach him. We'll have to, beat him any way possible. But it's like, wait, there's just going to be some other, there's a whole line of ridiculous reality show celebrities that could take his place. Why did this happen? Like what disconnection is going on in America that would let him so easily dominate, especially in the Republican primaries? It was funny, like they didn't have a chance. That was once the debates started and he started coming up with his little nicknames for everybody. That was it. But the good thing that might come out of it is that it'll force older candidates cannot deal with Trump. So it's going to take a younger candidate to actually, be able to compete. So that might be good ultimately. Yeah. Gore. See, just because I'm streaming, I can't think of anything. So I need chat. Yeah. So when Bush took the election away from Gore, that definitely felt more like some political manipulation, that it was some favors were called in, and it was just, I just still remember how weird that was, him just ceding that decision, just like, wow. And I guess because you don't want to keep fighting that forever and just keeping the government all stuck, the government all undecided until they resolve the election. And I guess I don't know. It's a good thing about the system that people just realize, well, it's only 4 years, and let's not spend the first year of the 4 years trying to undo what just happened. There we go. But yeah, I don't know. Just because people are so angry and frustrated, they haven't asked those questions about, well, what could we possibly do to make if people are genuinely that unhappy, why this can't happen again. But I don't know. And also, America is not a amazingly proactive society. They kind of fix things after the fact. Like, they wait until your Twin Towers are blown up before they or completely disappear before they start to really focus on terrorism. Ugh. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go some white highlights. I just have no name recollection. Recollection. I just can't think of names when I'm on stream. It happens too when like we're recording podcasts. I'm trying to think. I can't think of a name of something, so I literally have to look it up and then just edit out my looking up time. And unfortunately, I'm drawing now, so I can't look things up. And I just seem completely. I'm sure there's foreigners that know names of American presidents better than I do. Yeah, I'm going to lose my passport if I keep this up. They're just going to revoke it completely. Actually, yeah, the top. Yeah, I would never, especially like right now, I would never pass an American citizenship test where you have to like, who wrote the national anthem and all of that stuff. I would probably fail. Especially names. I just wouldn't remember the name of anybody. If I was only, it was only on live stream. Yeah, it's a weird, well, age too. I think my memory's not gotten any better with age, but there's a weird thing too where if you're just like a little nervous, like you have some kind of just like a very small amount of nervous thinking, you can't, your recollection is really bad. Like you can reason and logic doesn't seem to be affected, but like recollection of names and dates and events and stuff, yeah, it just goes completely. And that's a problem I have too. I think that this affects my Japanese speaking, as I get a little nervous speaking, and then you lose your vocabulary. Your vocabulary, if you're stuck on something, you're never gonna think of the word because you just have that little bit of tension that like totally destroys your kind of like rapid recall or whatever that function is. I don't know. I'm not any. You got censored. What? Why would it censor? So Hazy got censored. So yeah, I've been in Japan like 10 years now. Yeah. Yeah. I like the Tide Pods line too. Yeah. Tide Pods, and now there's drinking bleach to cure. That's the cure. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, but that weird, there's kind of and that's why always it's easier to speak a foreign language. It's easier to talk about things with a little bit of alcohol because then it undermines your nerves. It kind of keeps your nerves under control. So your recollection and everything, your rapid recall works a little bit better. Okay. Oh, maybe those lines should just be dark. Let's save this. No, darker than that. Yeah. So I'd kind of take away the focus so the eyes don't get totally lost. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, that's amazing. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah. But yeah, I've seen some. I mean, I guess that's the good thing. Cartoonists have been enjoying Trump. He's fun to draw. So the political cartoonists have been enjoying the Trump presidency. Actually, everybody should be focused on what's going on over here. I guess every scoop is going to have its own eyes, isn't it? Yes, of course. Okay. So something coneless. Yeah, and I think he's an easy caricature because you kind of get it. Just his hair, face and hair make enough. Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss who it's supposed to be when it's somebody more generic looking, and it's got to be harder work. Oh, this is a lot of candles. All right. Yeah, but I think the biggest problem with Trump is especially on Twitter and stuff. He's like genuinely funny. I mean, he's a pretty good troll. So if you're trying to be funny at his expense, sometimes you look kind of lame. It looks you look kind of weak trying to make fun of him because the way that he makes fun of other people is pretty effective, and especially kind of like internet age. So I've heard kind of comedians confess that it's like, yeah, I mean, you want to try to point out, or want to make fun of or point out what's ridiculous about him, but he's pretty good at being a troll, so it's hard to whoops, that's too dark. It's really hard to nail him very well, and I think that's why a lot of people just sound weirdly furious with him because they can't get one over. They're not smarter, or they're not. They can't sound smarter. Oh, that's in the wrong place, I think. In like, not in intelligence, but I mean in kind of troll terms, they can't sound. Whoops, they can't sound quicker than he does. So yeah, that's really odd. It's a really odd situation. I don't think we've had that because politicians in the past have been pretty. They, yeah, it's just a very. I'll put the little metal parts on these too. But yeah, it's just funny, and I think that's how he walked away with that Republican nomination too, is because everybody looks so okay boomer compared to how weird he was coming across, like how abusive he was. Whoa, shit. What's going on here? Okay. I don't know how I did that. Let's see. Maybe these two? Yep. Wow. Okay. Yeah, but that's very unique. But you just need somebody young in there that can start sounding a little bit more optimistic and just not so weak. It's so bizarre. And maybe pink. Yeah, I don't know. And it's such a, my life is so no pronunciation. Peripherally affected now. Yeah, so I still have to pay taxes in the U.S. But it's so, that matchbook is huge. It's still minor, so I mean, it sucks because it's all self-employment stuff. It's basically the cartoon. And so that's a little frustrating, but no president is going to change the self-employment tax rules anytime soon. That's not anybody's priority, so it doesn't. Yeah, things don't have a huge effect. Day-to-day stuff. What color? Maybe some kind of green. There's nothing going on. Yeah, it's a really bizarre, and I think that's part of his like power or whatever. He looks so bizarre that it's like people have trouble just like, yeah, they're having that hysterical blindness thing where it's like nobody would choose to look like this. Why does he look like this? Oh, I see what I did. I did that same thing again. No, that's it's very funny. His look is just bewildering. And so some people are like, he's a clown. Why are we paying attention to? And then other people are just so frustrated with him that they can't get over it. Yeah, that's very odd. Yeah, but the fact that he chooses to go with that look, I think says a lot. All right, maybe a little darker. I think this is all going to get lost, but oh well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's going to be a hard thing. Like once we get some distance, if things go back to normal politically in America and we get some distance from the Trump presidency, that's going to be really hard to explain how that happened. Grandma, why did you elect? Yeah, that's definitely going to be a hard explanation. But we have to figure it out. We have to figure out why that happened. And whoever is... why do I keep doing that? Whoever is feeling marginalized or kind of, not part of a system, or anyone that wants to protest vote that hard that they would vote for Trump is definitely has some problems with the country. And we need to find out what that is instead of just being so confused by it. It's like here. I can't get this. That's better. Looks at least more in perspective. Okay, lots of candles. Damn. Yeah, I didn't vote for Trump either. I didn't vote last time at all. Yeah, it's a kind of a pain in the ass. The absentee ballot, and you don't even know if they actually count those. They don't even have to. They can just get lost in the mail. Alright, so yeah, just yeah, it is going to be strange. And a lot of countries are having very weird politicians at the moment. And what was that? There's some Swedish politician. Like, too many people are like trying to steal pages out of Trump's handbook, but there was like a Swedish politician that went to some refugee camps or something. I don't know if it was Syria or Turkey or somewhere, just to tell people, we don't want you to come to our country. Very, like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean anything, but very kind of a spectacle, kind of Trump style. He was just trying to make some kind of news event out of it. Oh, wait. And, yeah, it seemed very, very apparent that pre-Trump, nobody would have had such a stupid idea. But, yeah, that spectacle and that attention getting now is it's becoming more and more the norm. There we go. So here's the tea lights. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, and then just a little. So some of these colors are gonna benefit from this, and some are not. Yeah, like these brighter blues. This should work. Yeah. Yeah, that was. I definitely complained about that on live stream before, but that was the most frustrating part of right after Trump was elected. Is that's all anybody in Japan wanted to talk about, and just like not like have a political discussion and just go ha ha ha, you have crazy president. That was all anybody was talking about. It was very frustrating because they don't have very heavy political discussion here, and so it was just a weird kind of it was just a weird kind of making fun of the situation in America. That was really odd. Okay. There we go. Oh no! Sorry, Sedona. A couple of your messages got held. Oh wait, no shit. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Okay, wait. Let me see if I can can I restore this? Oh wait, here. Let's see. Damn it. Sorry, one of your messages got. I clicked the wrong. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, and now there's no view, deleted messages. Oh, there we go. Can I? Sorry about that. No. Yeah, sorry, Sedona. Yeah, your Pabst Blue Ribbon comment got blocked, and I clicked hide instead of show. I misclicked on there. Oh. Yeah, that's really amazing. I wonder if if that was like an ex-wife or somebody that gave him that advice about his weird bronzer and that concealer stuff, whatever that is that he does under his eyes. I wonder if that was like a woman giving him, like a Russian model or some Eastern European model giving him some makeup advice, and he just kept on following that. I guess. Yeah, I guess everything needs to look a little wax here. That's pretty bright. Yeah, I can't. It's very random what YouTube auto moderates. Maybe they didn't want the Pabst Blue Ribbon sponsorship. No free ads for Pabst. They gotta pay. This one. All right. Yeah, I don't know about this. Okay. No way. That's funny. Yeah, it's hard to know what their what YouTube is getting triggered by. That's funny. Sunday school teacher. Let's see. So I think I'm gonna draw a little bit of smoke on. Wait a minute. Oh, that's not working. What's going on here? Okay. What's going on? Sorry, I'm having brush size issues. There we go. That was weird. Oh, actually, I want to make this as light as possible. Yeah, there we go. So something like this. Whoops. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, sometimes in areas, Catholic schools are the best funded because I've got all that church money. So maybe that's it was a better option. So I know a lot of non-Catholics that went to Catholic schools because it was the kind of best opportunity in the area, or the best funded schools. 'Cause sometimes the public schools in the U.S. are such a mess. So they all all are black. Oh yeah, maybe I should do the little orange. There we go. This is just going to be a weird one, but I'll go through also and do some of that bright orange, like just extinguished look, if I can. Oh, yeah. Ah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Catholic school. Wow. Pentecostal. Yeah, I think burnout is a is definitely going to have to be part of this. I don't know if this orange is going to read brightly enough. It should against black, but we'll see. All right. Yeah. I think this will work. Is that it? Wow, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be pretty subtle. I think in the web size, you're not going to really see those, but it might be enough. There we go. All right. So I'll just put some. Yeah, I think that works. Oof. Well, I should probably put some other color on the matchbook. Oh man, getting really bad with these shortcuts here. Okay. Something else. Let me just white. Not like that. Maybe just pure white would look better, yeah. Something, this isn't... Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, maybe the top. Do this at the top, and then about like a yellow band. Oof. Ouch. Yeah, violent nuns. That's crazy. Yeah, but I guess that stayed like the, what is it, corporal punishment or whatever. No, what is that? Am I getting that wrong? The spanking or paddling or whatever stayed okay in Catholic school a lot longer than it did in non. What is it called? Non-religious school, regular school, public schools. Yeah, what is it called? Damn. Yeah, there's a word for it that means non-religious, but yeah, just the regular public schools. I think had to, because of the parents, had to get rid of physical punishment much sooner. All right, now I got to do a ton of little eyes. Yeah, this is gonna be a hard one, but we'll see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think this works. Oh, I just rewatched it. It just came back to Japanese Netflix, but I just rewatched No Country for Old Men, the Coen brothers movie. That's a great movie. I really like that. Sometimes when I think about, like, 'cause it's got a lot of just quiet, like, stuff is happening, kind of figuring out how to get out of the situation that the main character gets himself into. It's got a lot of him just kind of figuring things out. So not a lot of dialogue in a lot of cases. And sometimes when I think about it, like, do I really just want to watch that happen again? But it's told so well, like the thinking, the kind of thought process that the character is going through, that he doesn't really spell things out. He just kind of like comes up with these. He just resolves to do certain things, and just there we go. That's a lot of eyes. Yeah, it's just really good, and all the actors, everybody in it is just really amazing. It's got some really tense scenes. So I think probably the villain has the most the antagonist has the most lines in the whole, because he's got some interesting monologues. But if you haven't seen that movie, I definitely recommend it. It's a nice it's just a really interesting story about, like, the evil in the world, or, like, what you're actually up against in the modern world. And set, like, the narration is Tommy Lee Jones playing, like, an older sheriff, talking about what he has to deal with now as compared to what his father or grandfather had to deal with, because they were all sheriffs. He comes to a family of police officers, and it's nice. It's a really nice, and it works really well because it's kind of set. It's set in Texas, and set kind of no cell phones or anything. So I think it's just like 80s. But yeah, it's really good. It's a really good kind of examination of evil, kind of what you're up against in the world, but not really evil, because the evil character is very. You have not some sympathy, but it's like he's definitely human, and it's just really good. I'm trying to think. I'm losing my words. yeah. Coen Brothers make great movies. Yeah. You have to read the book, Joe. The book is really good too. There's a couple of really good conversations, like the conversation with Llewellyn's dad. At the end, so the sheriff goes and interviews Llewellyn's dad. There's some really good passages in that, and there's some things, some extra things that didn't happen in the movie that are in the book. The book is, it was really good. I was really surprised. Oh no. Dang. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. I'll be captioning soon. All right. So yeah, everything is colored. So I think let me do the quick. Let's take a look at the comments from last week, and also just make sure that the actual cartoons went up last week. I'm getting paranoid about the FTP. It seems to I just upload them to an FTP site, and sometimes they go up and sometimes they don't. So it's always good to check. All right, so let me find OBS. A new cat in your house. Nice. Oh, there we go. Okay, switch over to comments. I don't know why I'm switching anything over. It's not really that different. Okay, So here's Go Comics, and here's the site. So yeah, so April 30th. Oh yeah, that was the last Thursday. So wow, time is going very fast. Oh yeah, that's right. So Joe's In and Out inspired fast food joke. So the 2 a.m. fast food drive-through definition of cheeseburger was broad and unsettling. So 2 comments and 9 likes. All right. Cheese, hold the burger. Yeah, that's so he got it. I think. Oh, sorry. Is that Ed got what I was trying to go for there with the incredible amount of little cheese served in paradise. Yes, 2 a.m. is fast food paradise. All right, and 28th. Ah, right. Okay, so no one remembered buying film or even owning a camera. 12 likes. Yeah, they like the readers on this site like the nostalgia stuff. Remember when? I still have a roll or two of film in my fridge. Yeah, exactly. That's where people kept their film so the chemicals didn't age. Thanks for the reminder to pick up some prints at Walgreens. Oh, I wonder. Yeah, I guess they still do. They must do that because I still see the disposable cameras and stuff. So they must still do that. But yeah, and remember this, like, they used to have just a little photo booth that you just dropped your film off and like somebody picked it up and took it to the lab and then brought it back. But like a parking lot in a shopping mall would just have a little photo hut or photo booth, and you just drive up. That's so strange to think, like, everybody looked, like, so many people saw all of your photos that you had processed, because they would just, like, run through a machine and they would come out the other end and then just be in an envelope that anybody could open that worked there. It's funny. Okay, so let's try a couple of randoms and see. 2005. All right. The slotted spoon was the savior of orphaned green beans. Nice. Oh, 1 like. Green beans aren't popular. That's definitely an old style. It's only a few years into drawing this. 2018. Toothpaste. Suddenly realized he wasn't getting any of it back. Right. You can't unsqueeze a toothpaste at 2 likes. There's my, what is that, Aquafresh? What is the stripy toothpaste? Oh no, the movie is based on the book. It's the same guy that wrote The Road. I'm not going to be able to think because I'm on stream. I'm not going to be able to think of his name. McCormick. Fuck, I can't think of his name. But yeah, he wrote Blood Meridian and The Road and No Country for Old Men, and some other westerns. He wrote a lot of western stuff. But yeah, no, the film is it's kind of a they don't there's more to the story, a little bit more to the story in the book. But yeah, it was a novel, I think, written in the 80s. It's not a new book. It's been around for a while. And so yeah, the Coens just did an adaptation of that book. And it's not, I mean, it may be based on, like, local news or something. He may have been inspired. Cormac McCarthy. Shit, I think that's okay. I'm gonna Google. Maybe not. I won't Google on cam here, but yeah, I think it's Cormac McCarthy. Let's see. Yes, Cormac McCarthy, and let's see his. Oh, yeah, he's still around. He's 86, though. Let's see. Yeah, he's written a lot of stuff. Oh, wow. No, I guess I was wrong. 2005. No Country for Old Men was written in 2005. Yeah, so he's got quite a few years between each book. Like, his first book was Outer Dark in 1968, and then it wasn't until 79 he had another book, and then 85. Wow. Yeah, he also wrote All the Pretty Horses. So that might be another book you've heard of. So his most famous, I think, are Blood Meridian, No Country for Old Men. Oh no, he didn't write The Road. Who wrote The Road? Fuck. See, I'm full of misinformation. Who I? Why did I conflate those two? No, it is. That's weird. Yeah, no, he definitely wrote that. They didn't put it in the Wikipedia though. Oh, it's not a notable work, I guess. No, I guess that's why there's so many years they skipped a bunch of stuff. Yeah, he wrote The Road too. That post-apocalyptic kind of. It's kind of what Fallout and a lot of the post-apocalypse games and settings are based on, because it was one of the earliest kind of depictions of that. What year was that written? 2006. Wow. Yeah, so actually I think the original Fallout is older than that. So yeah, but The Road is really good too. The movie's okay. I think the book is a lot better. But yeah, that Wikipedia entry is horrible. It just like skips a lot of stuff. But both of those books are definitely worth reading. Yeah, Cormac McCarthy. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like his writing. A few of his older Western books I couldn't get into. I started All the Pretty Horses and I think I didn't make it out of the first chapter, and for some reason, because his style kind of changed when he's writing specifically Western stuff. I don't know. I don't like the tone as much, but The Road is really written well, and really sad. I mean, it's that same kind of thing. I think that same kind of idea was like the movie The Green Mile kind of had that idea. That was about prison, but walking the mile, like walking to your execution. So prisoners on death row. But the same kind of thing is you're going along this road, and they have a very faint idea that going west is better and safer, and there's actually something left there. And so it's just a father and son just walking the road, because it's the not necessarily the safest, but the easiest way to travel, and just many things that they come across. But it's that kind of metaphor of the parents take kids only as far as they can, and after a certain point you can't protect them, you can't do anything for them, you just have to hope that everything they learn from you and everything you are able to do from them carries them on. And so yeah, really very powerful in that way. And the same kind of generational thing is in No Country for Old Men, is talking about the fathers and grandfathers, and what a man has to do, like what's necessary, like as the world, has the world become more violent, has stuff become more dangerous, do we have just a different understanding of it? And so it addresses a lot of that kind of generational stuff, so it's pretty good. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely both of those books are worth reading. Yeah, The Road and I haven't read it, but I've heard Blood Meridian is good too. But yeah, if you like the movie, it's definitely worth reading, because there's some nice extra details in there and a different kind of resolution, because No Country kind of ends kind of suddenly and you're kind of, whoa, okay, ouch. It kind of feels all for nothing, and there's a little bit more resolution, or just that the main character kind of failed or was defeated, like the world beat him, and you don't get that. There's more resolution and more kind of examination in the book. Anyhow, everyone involved claimed to be non-dairy, but the situation had most certainly soured. Okay, nobody likes my sour milk jokes. Yeah, that one's a little too wordy. I think that could be written shorter. Oh, look at that, a cigarette case. Her distant memories of smoking in movie theaters and hospitals were all she had left. Yeah, those little they must still make those, but the cases for my mother always had one of those. Can you go get mom's cigarettes? And always that weird case with the clasp on it. Yeah. I guess that protected them. I guess maybe before the hard box, and that's what I was trying to do, is show the hard pack. Then you don't need a cigarette case, because they don't get crushed in the hard pack. But yeah, the old cigarette cases, yay. Nice. All right. So, yep. Just some. Oh, pins. That's interesting. Yeah. No likes, but people pin it. All right. One more. I'll get to the writing the jokes. 2007. Uh-oh. Look at that clumsy little drawing. That's so funny. She tried to explain to Instant Coffee that some things take time and need more than hot water. All right. Instant Coffee jokes. Yeah, this must have gone up. So this is 2000. Oh, it's 2007. Yeah, I've dated it right. Yeah. It must have gone up before this cartoon really hit. Okay, one more. 2016. There we go. Felt the tremendous pressure to be sweet and creamy. Oh, one comment. Who is going to run away with the spoon this time? Nice. Yeah, the people keep coming back to that. I guess if you read enough of these, then you remember the relationships with the kitchen objects. All right. Okay, let's get back to the drawing. Oops, I need this. Nice. Yeah, it's kind of an abrupt ending, and I think they because maybe the book itself, the ending of the book itself, it would be hard to film. It would just be too much after kind of the big event. They wanted that to be kind of the climax, and then him going after the wife. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, sorry, but Anton showing up at the confronting the wife. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and we never. I'm sorry, I won't spoil anything, but we never find out what happened to the money, do we? That's brutal. No, it's not the. Oh, that's weird. Okay, it doesn't give me the whole thing. Oh, I guess there are different layers. Shit. All right. Well, what in the world am I talking about with this? Yeah, I like the burned out. Yeah, this should definitely be a bad weather fatigue joke, if it's possible. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, because the movie ends with the, just the Tommy Lee Jones speech about his dream, the dream that he had. But I think that was, for the movie, I think that wrapped things up enough and was good, because it's like the same thing like with the road. That's all we've got. I mean, your ancestors, the people that came before you that did the thing that you did, living this life or having this job or whatever, they kind of are leaving the torches, they're leaving the fires lit, they're showing you the way, and you just got to follow it. And depending on the times that you live in, you just have to be strong enough or the right kind of person to flourish or do well in that. And maybe greed, or there are going to be certain things that will it'll make that impossible. But yeah, I like that. I liked his little dream metaphor at the end. Oh shit. Oh yeah, that one that comes after him that swims down the river. That's fucking terrifying. And he's like he's like blowing the shaking the clip and like blowing the chamber up before he gets the gun loaded just in time. Yeah, that was crazy. And I liked how they sweetened the Foley, or what I guess if there'd be dog ADR, but they the dog kind of grunting and snorting as he's swimming. That thing is, that was fucking, that's crazy. That's a great scene though. And I forget how there's really good tension in that movie, but when I think about like how much you just have to watch him go through, that's like just like I never want to watch that Castaway, that Tom Hanks movie again, because it's just such an excruciating torture thing, just like his story of survival. It's like once you see that, you don't really need to go through that again. And so with movies that have a lot of that, but the way that No Country is Told, it's the storytelling is so good that the non-verbal, just kind of the action of the storytelling is really good. It's just really tense. Yeah, it's goes through a lot of really tense scenes as he kind of figures out what's going on. All right, so Burnt Out definitely needs to be part of this. Yeah, I can't think of a circumstance that would make this make much sense. So it's just gonna have to be an odd. So they were remaining inside. Sheltering, was it sheltering at home? Home sheltering? Well, they're not social distancing, so it can't be it can't be social. Oh, yeah, I should do some. That would be a very simple, like two things that are always need to be right against each other. Having to be apart would be a good social distancing joke, but that term will be dated as soon as I upload it. Oh, this time at home, left, spacebar. Burnt out. Something. Oh, yeah, that's right. Devil lettuce. Yeah, that may be true. Maybe that doesn't work with the burnout candles. Thank you, Scuba. That's a good point. A bunch of burnout candles. All right. They had a difficulty staying lit. It's another euphemism. All right. Yeah, let's something candles. All right, let's try ice cream. Well, maybe I don't need to go so big for writing these. All right. Oh yeah, this was the thing. Come on. The thing I was thinking about this is the. Is this the one that? Yeah, I do not understand. Still, one of the files doesn't show me highlights in the text, and one does, and there's no difference. It's really funny. Oh wait, is there? What's this? No. Oh, I didn't know you could just switch between vertical and horizontal. Yeah, that's so weird. It just doesn't show me the. Something about combness. So the idea was like, it was. That's not good though. It was obvious, I guess, that coneless. Whoops. Not an option. It was obvious that coneless was not an option. No, coneless was. I don't know. Something without a cone. Dark weather coming. Ugh. Oh yeah, light. Yeah. Uh-oh. I think... What's going on here? Oh, there we go. No, maybe not coneless. Yeah, being without a cone, not having... Yes, that's good. Yeah, something about sometimes it wasn't. You need to find the perfect cone. Bully. Oh yeah, bullying too. Yeah, ice cream. If left on its own, ice cream tended to not do well. Let's see. Yeah, bullying. Yeah, is it good? Something about choosing or choosing not to. Not. Yeah, I guess that's that not an option. Yeah, or just something kind of more basic relationship. It was harder finding. Yeah, maybe something like finding the right cone. The right cone was harder than it. What? Than it looked. Finding the right cone was harder than it looked. Something like that. Yeah, some more relationship-y kind of thing. Finding the right cone. Whoa. Meant to be. Yes, that's good. Yeah. Relation that meant to be is good. Yeah, failing at multiple cones. Yeah, this is getting. The idea is getting too long. I think that something like that. The right cone is harder than it looked. Yeah, and because there's two different kinds of cones, that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, for some reason, coneless sounded funny, but I don't think that's gonna make a lot of sense. It's gonna sound really awkward. Finding the right cone is harder than it looked. Yeah, so other people around you seamlessly seemed to. I guess this is a what is that? Polyamorous, polyamorous, 2 scoops and a cone, but finding or ice cream. I don't want it to sound. Okay, well, I'll leave it for that for a minute until I figure out what's going on. Burnt out. It was best. Right, drop the cone on that divorce. Yeah, divorce. Yeah, yeah, the legal legally separated. Yeah, I should have composed that differently. Put those guys in the middle if it was separation. Ooh. Oh boy. All right. Some things were easier do with the lights out. That's very broad, but also has innuendo. Some things were easier to do with all the lights out. So that's not a, whoops, where's my, this is so bizarre. I wonder if it's the tablet or just this weird old Photoshop. Some things were easier to do with the lights out. With all the lights out. I don't know. It's a very broad. Whoa. Just one. There we go. Why doesn't it like me picking this up? There we go. Can I hop on your cone? Oh, we're getting into the erotic ice cream. I don't know. Yeah, there's got to be another funnier reason to have them all be blown out. Yeah, electricity. Yes, for the ice cream. Nice. Yeah, some things are easier with all the lights out. Yeah, unless we can come up with a weird or funny reason they all were blown out at the same time. Or relighting. There was a matchbook there too, so he didn't see any point to relighting the whole crowd. Let's see. Yeah, maybe this really general thing will work the best. Yeah, because there's definitely some matchbook, like he lit, lighting everything. The work of relighting the all his accomplishments, one gust of wind, and all he had accomplished was gone. Let's see. Felt. Oh no. What's going on? YouTube, calm down. Yeah, right. Only, yeah. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, like once the power came on, because the cartoon is on a white background, so it does look like there's light. let's see. Oh, I can't find any more sensors. Uh-oh. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, just like that, a whole bunch of usefulness. Yeah, like 1 minute they were very useful. Like 1 minute they were working together to light the room, and then yeah. Ah, yeah, yeah. I think yeah. Once the power came back on. What? Yeah, it kind of like, especially like that. You know, like after a live show, or like if a bar or club like turns the lights on to get everybody to leave. That's the most like seeing everything. I forget what place that was. I think it was, I'd see like live show, like a small place to see live shows, and they would turn like cleaning lights on to get you out of there after things were done, and that was like the most like horrific. So this is, yeah, kind of like that awkward once the lights were restored. All right. Yeah, so there's some kind of awkwardness. So the awkward once smoky and awkward. Yeah. So once power was restored, and blowing or lighting birthday candles for electricity to be out is pretty stupid. I like that idea. Once the power was restored, things just got awkward and smoky. Is smoky a Y or no? I'm trying to think. Jeez. 1, 2. Oh. Let's see. I like that. Yeah. The awkward. So once the power was restored, things maybe not just got things. Oh, smoky awkwardness. There we go. I like that. Something about smoky. Ah, shit. This is weird. Smoky awkwardness. It sounds funny. If I can get rid of the T. Okay. Just sat in the. Pretty long, but it gets that idea across. Once the power was restored, they just sat in the smoky awkwardness. Is that smoky has an O or an E or no E? Let's see what Adobe thinks. Adobe does not like it. Uh-oh. If I want that, so maybe Smoky Mountains. Huh. Okay, Google. Let's see. Oh, sorry, one more. Check. Maybe no E. I think that's just like Smoky Mountains. Smoky or smoky? So smell of wood. The right word is smell of burning wood. Smokey the Bear. The correct spelling is smoky with no E. Weird. Yeah, I guess it's just for Smokey the Bear or Smoky Mountains. That's odd. So remember. Oh no, yeah, smoky is the adjective, yeah. Right, right. Okay, yep, no E. No E. So maybe just to make it a name, and maybe to make it a trademarkable name, so you just have to spell it wrong so you can say Smokey the Bear, kind of. And then nobody can say you're just talking about a bear full of smoke. I don't know. All right. Once the power was restored, they just sat in the smoky awkwardness. I like smoky awkwardness. That sounds good. All right. And lighting tea lights and birthday candles for light in your house sounds really stupid. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, good. I like that power out thing with candles. Finding the right cone was harder than it looked. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want it to get homophobic to kind of show, a cone and ice cream are, different different genders, and two ice creams are not. So I don't. Yeah, if I get trying to make any kind of sex joke, I think it's gonna start feeling like that. The right cone, as far as the right partner, I think works. Finding the right cone made all the difference, or made it wasn't, or the idea of ice cream cone. Dracula favorite tools. Nice. Yeah, thanks, K5. That's good. I like that. The power out helped that candle thing make more sense. All right, finding the right cone. Yeah, okay, so is it, choice between cones, and they're just gonna sit and melt on the floor. Yeah. Yeah, but if is there anything about ice cream cone, like they were just ice cream and cone? It wasn't ice cream. It was ice cream cone, not ice cream. Some ice cream and some cones. Uh yeah, great. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, that was a good suggestion. I like the power out stuff, especially because it's such a ridiculous collection of candles that makes it make a little more sense. So it was an ice cream cone, not some ice cream and some cones. Um, yeah, that's I don't know what that I don't know if that's making any sense. Finding the right cone was harder than it looked. Or just some ice cream never found the right cone. Some ice cream had to be happy with just being itself. Happy with ah just wasn't made. Yeah, right. I'll push them over is good. Right, right. Oh yeah, they worried. Oh yeah, like people that if their friends get divorced or whatever, that they feel like it's contagious. Yeah, like I don't wanna spend time with either of them because it may give my partner some ideas. Um, yeah, they worried. Yeah, that this set a precedent for cone freedom, cone liberation. Cone liberation. Um, yeah, cone liberation left a lot of ice cream with nothing. wasn't until you lost a cone that you really appreciated it. Yeah. I don't know. There's got to be. So the right cone. Nothing was more sad than a double scoop without a cone. Yeah, I think that the simple, not hysterically funny, not very clever either. Finding the right cone was harder than it looked. So the patheticness of the cone, of the ice cream just sitting there, is good, and the cones are, there's different kinds. So there was obviously a choice that wasn't made. Finding the right cone was harder than it looked. Or not choosing sometimes was worse than choosing wrong. Yeah. For ice cream cones, not picking a cone was sometimes worse than going without. No choice was worse than the wrong choice. Yeah, no choice wrong with the dumped. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Was it dumped? I like dumped too. That's good. Yeah, it wasn't about who dumped who. The breakup of an ice cream cone wasn't about who dumped who. Oh, yeah, there's something I like dumped. The breakup of any ice cream cone was, yeah, not about who dumped who. Or was always about who dumped who. That's pretty, yeah. The breakup, this is another long one though, of any ice cream cone was not about who dumped who. Crazy. Oh, kids are playing. Whoa, kids are playing out front there. I don't know if you can hear them. Okay, the breakup of any ice cream. Good spelling. Yeah, not having this cursor is killing me here. Oh, and I think ice cream is actually 2 words, isn't it? The breakup of any ice cream cone was not about who dumped who. Should there be a but? Oh, yeah. Dirty floor ice cream. I like that. Didn't want to be associated with any dirty floor ice cream. I like that, dirty floor ice cream. Dirty floor ice cream is too funny. Yeah, is there a way Dirty floor ice cream. Always had trouble finding a cone. So with the breakup of any ice cream cone, there were more. Yeah, okay. There. So with the breakup of any, maybe breakup can be one word or hyphenated. With the breakup of any ice cream cone, there were. I'm going to have to turn a light on soon, I think. Immediate concerns, then. Okay, now this is a crazy long one. I don't know if this is going to work. Oof, yeah, that's really long. With the breakup of any ice cream. Oh, I lost my cone, making it even longer. There were more immediate concerns than who dumped who. That's just a melting joke. All of that for a melting joke? Dirty floor ice cream. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. Are those two taken? Yeah, that's too far to go for a melting ice cream joke. Public sympathy for dumped ice cream. There seemed to always, yeah, there was always more sympathy for the ice cream than the cone. Huh. Pressure of being an ice cream cone? Oh yeah, so avoiding the pressure. I know, it's a really long one. It's a really long a book of ice cream. Yeah, the pressure. Of I see. Yeah, I can't say someone. Pressure of being an ice cream cone was sometimes too much, or could. The pressure of. So I like the idea of the ice cream cone representing like the couple, and when it breaks up, former ice cream cones, yeah, establishing or once broken up, ice cream cones rarely ever got back together. Let's try that. That sounds kind of long, though. Oh, boy. rarely. Oh, that's not too long. Yeah, I think that works. Once broken up, ice cream cones rarely got back together. And there's another cone waiting in the... waiting, yeah, that gets across the dirty, the dirty floor ice cream idea a little bit. I love that expression. Nice. Oh, right. Legacy, yeah. Nice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, on top of each other. Oh, yeah, seeking the ice cream, seeking the comfort of each other as opposed to a cone. Once broken up, ice cream cones rarely got back together. Yeah, I think that works because it's the rare the example, and there's two cones there, and still nothing happened, and yeah, I think that works. I think that's gonna work. You got censored again. What? Let me check, Joe. What's going on here? Nice. Go ahead, girlfriend. Nice. Take a seat. Nice. I really want to put or include dirty floor ice cream in this, but I think that I think this works well. Yeah, ice cream's one of those things you don't get the 5-second rule with ice cream. Let's bring up ice cream cones rarely got back together. Yeah, I think that works. Just showing the permanence of that accident there. I think that's gonna work. Oh yeah. Oh, and we're getting towards dinner time again, so perfect timing. Oh man. Oh, this was fun. A fun hangout. Again, yeah, I love the input when I'm trying to write these ridiculous things. It's inspiring very much. It helps me to, because sometimes I'll get stuck in just one way of thinking, and especially like the power outage. I never would have thought of that for the candles. I was thinking about wind or relighting or whatever, but that helped a lot. So that's really good to get that other opinion or that other view of things. That helps a lot. Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks for your crazy misspellings. Yeah, so I guess it is profanity. That's weird. I guess. Yeah, that's weird that YouTube is sensitive to that. But they are in videos too now. They make you, when you upload videos, they make you say no profanity or mild profanity in your videos. Which I guess if they want to market it, like they probably have advertisers that want zero profanity. All right. So once the power was restored, they just sat in the smoky awkwardness. I like smoky awkwardness. That's good. And once broken up, ice cream cones rarely got back together. Perfect. All right. Yeah, those will work. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, have a great night. Too, I guess a great morning. A great early morning. Nice. Oh, sweet. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, you got to tell us about that. Let me know how that goes next week, Joe. I'm really curious about how hard it is to build a Hackintosh. I guess, yeah, a lot of the architecture it's all Intel and everything now. So yeah, that's fun. I'm curious about that. I've watched a few like tutorial videos on that, but yeah. Let us know how it goes. All right, 2 a.m. A good rest of your morning. Enjoy the rest of your morning. But yeah, thanks for the hang. It's always good fun, and makes doing these cartoons so much easier. All right, good night, Joe, and good luck with the with your Hackintosh. It's a great idea, and it's funny that I think they did for a real short period of time. No, did they? I'm trying to. I for some reason I thought that Apple, like very early on, like when they were still like PowerPC chips, or they were still like the Motorola chips, that they licensed to somebody the ability to do Mac on their hardware. I forget, but maybe they never have. But I think they tried it once and decided it wasn't for them. All right, good. Glad it was entertaining, and I will see you guys next week. So, of course, this is the abusecartoons.com is the website for this, and gocomics.com/domestic abuse that I show the comments on is where you can go read back through everything. And I need better websites for other work, but I still got Citizen Spaceman is still up. Citizen Spaceman is still up. That has the first issue of that comic. And Idle Red Hands is the tabletop hobby thing. And on Twitter, Abuse Cartoons. And Instagram is just my name, Jeremy Lambros, on Instagram if you want to see other random stuff. Although, yeah, I haven't put any of these cartoons on recently, but it's been work from different shows and Inktober's and things are up there. But I will be back next week, and I hope everyone stays safe and gets through this. And I hope this helped a little bit, give you a little bit of distraction from your self-isolating, home sheltering, all that good stuff. And I'll keep you updated on how things go here. But it looks like still another month, so this is going to be another maybe 3 weeks of home streaming until I can get back to the office. But take care, everyone. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I'll bug you about that next week, and let me know how it went, Joe. So take it easy, and good night, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. What is that? That's the Jim Carrey movie where he's being watched all the time. Anyhow, okay. Good night, everyone. Be safe, take care, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye.